guys, I wanted to pop in at the very beginning because I wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for the kindness, the encouraging words, just the outpour of support, both in my life update video that I talked about. Everybody has been just so kind in the comments of that video, and also in my quiet quitting video. I often worry that I am not clear, that I am not articulate, or that as I open myself up and feel quite vulnerable in what I'm saying, that it will be misconstrued and that people will take what, these are my own personal demons. This is my own anxieties, but this is something that I worry about, and y'all prove me wrong. You all proved me wrong so hard. Every comment was so kind and so supportive, and just precious to me, like little precious gems. And I just wanted to say that at the beginning with a very loud and heartfelt thank you to all of you. And yeah, so we're gonna go back in time to a makeupless Shelly, and she's gonna tell you all about the things that she's been reading lately. So yeah, thanks. Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. So what we are doing today is I am going to be getting ready while talking through some of my recent reads. I am currently doing a 30 books in 30 days project. Oh, there's Harry. Here's little Harry. You want to tell everybody what we're doing? So I'm currently doing a 30 books in 30 days challenge, and today is September 20th, and I have read 20 books. Actually, as of yesterday, I had read 20 books. So I am really right on track with my goal. And instead of trying to sit down and summarize everything all at once or at the end of the month, I am doing these recent reads to help kind of check in about what I'm reading, and I'm trying to group them. So that they make at least some sort of sense. Last week I did, let's see, what did I do last week? Last week I talked about all of the lads, all of the male authors I had read in the first 12 days of the challenge. And then today I'm going to be talking about all of the books by female authors that are squarely within my comfort zone. So if you are new here, then hi, I'm Shelly, and I love books and reading. And this is a really good video to start with because you will get a sense of the books that I like. So I'm going to be telling you all of the books that not all of the books, I'm going to be telling you the books that I've read by female authors that tend to be in the genres that I would normally pick up. Because there are a lot of books that I have read that are really wildly outside of my comfort zone. And I didn't quite realize that at the time that I picked up and started reading the book, but as I got into the book, I was like, oh, this is like a mystery. This is a horror book. And I'm like, what? So this month has been a lot of adventuring into genres that I wouldn't normally pick up. And I figured that could be a whole other recent reads. So this video is all of the female authors that are squarely within my comfort zone of reading. And yeah, I'm gonna do that while I'm getting ready, and let's just get started. I feel like I said everything. The first book that was definitely within my comfort zone is one that the whole internet has gone wild over. I think my husband actually tried to buy me a copy of this book, but it was sold out everywhere, and so I ended up listening to it. It's within my comfort zone because it is a memoir. I love memoirs. I especially love listening to memoirs, so this was perfect. It was actually a celebrity memoir, which is not usually my thing. But yeah, it's also like a coming of age story, and it was very well written. And it was Jennette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died, which I actually did a whole review about. And I feel like in that review, I missed a major component that I maybe could have focused in on a bit more. And that was the fact that McCurdy really talks about the damaging effects of childhood stardom. And she asks the question, why are we as a society, as a culture, obsessed with child stars? which I feel like I kind of missed in that review. But I thought that was such an important topic to talk about, and she does it so well. McCurdy makes it really clear that she set out to write a very entertaining book and wanted it to be first and foremost a good read, and she definitely did that. I really love this book, and I still continue to think about it today. If you are interested in more in-depth thoughts about the McCurdy memoir, spoiler free, then I'm just going to leave a link to that review down below. But I really enjoyed it. The next two books make a really good accidental pair together. The first book is, Deborah Levy's The Cost of Living, which I heard about Deborah Levy as an author from Kim at Middle of the Book March. I cannot in good conscience say that I had ever heard about this writer before, but she has a series called her Living Autobiography series, which is essentially like small memoir installments about different parts of her life. And The Cost of Living, the one that I picked up, is about Deborah Levy rebuilding herself after her divorce. She is a writer. She talks about her writing life. She also talks about sort of the mundanities of life and a bit about her childhood and coming to the UK. And it was really an interesting read. It was almost like a bit of a slice of life kind of book, specifically dealing with the fallout of her divorce and what does it mean to be a woman in the world after this very particular stage in her life. I really liked it because I felt like she was very grounded. She talked very much about being a writer from the perspective of being a woman and what that means and her struggles with it. And I really thought the slice of life aspect of it was very charming. Okay, so then paired with, I also read Annie Dillard's The Writing Life, which is what it sounds like. It's Annie Dillard, who is, I read Pilgrim at Tinker Creek earlier this year, which was amazing. I really loved it, which was all about Annie Dillard meditating on nature and life, and it was just wonderful. She talked about bugs, and that was great. So The Writing Life is similar, but this time she's meditating on what does it mean to be a writer. She also talks about bugs, and she talks about other experiences. So interestingly, both women were talking about their struggles as writers and using their daily lives to illustrate their points. And I just thought that that Deborah Levy was just so much more warm and witty and so much more like accessible as a person through her writing than Annie Dillard was. It made Annie Dillard look a bit pretentious and a little sort of out of touch with reality. Yeah, and I still really love Annie Dillard. I still love that she writes about bugs. I don't think this is the end between her and I, but I just thought it was just an interesting and fascinating experience to read both of these books side by side, and I walked away thinking, Deborah Levy, you're my girl. That's what I thought. Okay, let me get going with this. I finally read a feminist classic that has been staring me down that I heard about in college and I really had the wrong idea about. So when I was in college, there was a sandwich board or an advertisement saying that the Vagina Monologues was going to be playing or being performed at my junior college that I was attending. I think I was like 16 when I saw this sign, and I got in my mind that, or maybe someone had said to me, just a really like off-kilter description of what the Vagina Monologues was going to be about. I feel like someone told me it was about angry women talking about their privates or something like that. And so I had that mindset. I really don't know if someone said that to me or if that's something I came up with. I have no idea. So I was not interested in reading it. And then a good friend of mine shared her favorite books of all time with me, and she included the Vagina monologues on that list. And I realized that it was a feminist classic, and I'm really into feminist classics. And so I was like, I really ought to try that out. So I finally did. I finally read Eve Ensler's The Vagina Monologues. And here's what I found. The Vagina Monologues really surpassed my expectations as to what it is. It is really talking and trying to, what Eve Ensler is trying to do is to remove the shame that women feel around their body parts, around their vagina. And she does it in a way that is witty, that is funny, that is quirky, and very approachable. And in a lot of ways, it kind of worked. Like she was just talking about how so many women don't want, this is after interviews of, Eva Ensler interviews quite a few women about their vagina, and she has silly questions like, if you were to dress up that part of your body, you know, what would it wear? And she has all these answers listed down below. And it essentially it works. She takes something that I think a lot of us have kind of shame around, or maybe have feelings about, and she makes it a lot more light, a lot more silly, a lot more approachable. And that was just not what I had expected at all. And I'm really, really glad that I read this, and I can see why it took off the way that it did, because she's doing it, she's sort of holding her subject lightly. She's not making it sort of dark and trying to change people's minds. It's done in a very light and playful way. And I really appreciated that. And it was just a really funny and enjoyable read. So I'm really, really glad I read this. Next, I read a book by an author that I had read last year, and I really enjoyed the series that I read, and that is Becky Chambers' A Psalm for the Wild Built. This is her Monk and Robot series. Last year, I read 2 books in her Wayfarer series, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and A Closed and Common Orbit. Both of those I really enjoyed. They're like cozy, fantasy, science fiction-y stories, just, you know, otherworldly stories. And this Monk and Robot was very much the same. So basically the monk character is trying to find his purpose, their purpose in life rather. It's a they them. So monk is trying to find their purpose in life and goes on a pilgrimage, and on this pilgrimage meets a robot. And together they go on a very quiet, calm adventure. I think at the beginning it was like for anybody who needs a quiet moment, like the epitaph, the very beginning, like little phrase, it was like for anybody who needs to slow down in life. It was something of that effect, and I was like, yes, I really do. And it really provided that. It was very safe, very cozy, very Becky Chambers. Didn't have a ton of plot and was just sweet. It was just a sweet story about friendship and about purpose in life and about slowing down and finding purpose. And I just thought it was just so sweet and cute and a really easy read. And it just enjoyable all around. So if you're not sure about Becky Chambers and you want to find a place to start and you don't want a huge time investment, this is a 160-page book. It's very, very, very short and very just sweet, and a really, I think, good introduction into what Becky Chambers is doing with her work. The last 3 books, I didn't realize this, I didn't put this together until I'm actually sitting down filming, but I have read a lot of like second or third books by authors that I've already read. So I'm continuing to like deepen my relationship with authors, which is pretty cool. I read the second installment in Alice Oseman, or Osman, I'm actually really not sure, in her series Heartstopper, which was just perfect because, as I mentioned, I'm reading several books outside of my comfort zones. Some of them are mysteries, and I am just Well, I'll get to it in that video, but I have just a very sensitive heart, and I really needed like a balm for all of the gritty things that I was reading recently, and Heartstopper was perfect. It is a queer love story about two high school boys named Nick and Charlie, and it is about their friendship and navigating their friendship and their love in high school, which is always sort of tumultuous and strange. And it's just so sweet. Like, I was reading it and I was just smiling all the way through. The illustrations are adorable. And it was just like the perfect read for the moment that I needed, which was, you know, kind of reading a whole bunch of things that I wouldn't normally read. And then I also read, speaking of gritty, I read Sharon Olds' Satan Says, which is a poet that I read last month. Sharon Olds, I read actually Stag's Leap. So I decided to continue with her work, and so I picked up Satan Says. This is much darker, much grittier than Stag's Leap. But as I mentioned, or what happened was, is I picked this up, I wasn't feeling well, I've been dealing with the sinus infection from hell, like it's just been horrible, and so what I did is I picked this up, and she did it again. She sucked me in, even though it was grittier, even though it was a little more difficult to read. The subject matter was definitely darker. She sucked me in with her poetry, and every page I was like, I must read, I must know more. It was like I couldn't put it down until I finished it, and it was perfect. This is definitely, this book, this collection is talking more about the themes of childhood, the relationship she has with her parents, young motherhood, and also being a mother. Really fantastic, really good, and it's definitely not going to be the end between me and Sharon Olds. Really love this. And then finally, I have the final poetry collection, which is actually like the opposite of Satan Says, because this poetry collection is a lot more gentle, a lot more quiet, more meditative, more of a balm for a sad heart, for an anxious heart. And it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And that was Thirst by Mary Oliver. I read American Primitive last month by Mary Oliver, and so I decided to continue with her work, and I really love this. She is just the perfect writer for difficult times. So it was like just the perfect moment for me to pick her up. And what I love about her work is that there's this blend of religion and God and surrender, like, you know, kind of, you know, deflating your ego in a lot of ways. Like, it's not about you, it's about, you know, finding peace. And she uses a lot of nature in her writing. And I just thought it's just the perfect blend of all of that. It's quiet, it's almost prayer-like. She talks about prayer in this, and it was just, I mean, it's just so perfect. And I just really loved reading Mary Oliver and getting into her work yet again. So yeah, so that's it. Yeah, tell me, what have you been reading? This is my recent reads for the lasses, because I did the lads, the lasses. And it's just been wildly successful. I've been really enjoying this challenge. I will definitely give you an update on how the challenge is going and all of my feelings with the challenge. Maybe I'll do that at the end, because I think there is quite a bit to report on there. But yeah, that's it from me. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys. So